The decades-old debate over whether Denver is a sanctuary city is coming to a head likely in the next month. Denver is faced with an immediate choice: cooperate more fully with the Trump administration's immigration agents or face a loss of nearly $400,000 a year in funding for law enforcement. Today, though, the city of Chicago showed Denver a possible third way: sue the federal government. Denver Mayor Michael Hancock's office said it is too early to say what, if any, role Denver would have in supporting Chicago's lawsuit. Chicago's suit attacks Attorney General Jeff Sessions' plan to deny funding for sanctuary cities on a couple of levels. Claims it's unconstitutional, says it interferes with Congress's ability to dictate spending, and says that it interferes with the rights of local governments to decide their own law enforcement priorities and practices. Denver is due to receive $423,000 for fiscal year 2017 in what are known as Byrne JAG grants. The program's formal name is the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program. The Trump Justice Department notes that Edward Byrne was a New York City police officer killed by violent drug gangs, and that is true. Here's what the website doesn't mention. Officer Edward Byrne was ambushed and killed that night in 1988 while protecting an immigrant from Guyana who had informed on drug dealing in his neighborhood. Denver, Chicago, and other cities with sizable populations of people who are in this country illegally have pointed out that while Attorney General Sessions highlights people here illegally who commit crimes, there are others here illegally who are victims who come to police or who are cooperative witnesses against dangerous criminals. It's worth remembering as the Trump administration makes the Byrne JAG grant program the tip of its spear thrust at sanctuary cities, that Officer Edward Byrne's final act on earth was to give his life protecting an immigrant.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. I'm Kayleigh McEnany, and that is The Real News.
And that is the former CNN commentator hired by Team Trump to deliver what they call The Real News, a video presentation that looks a bit like state-run media that you tend to see in third world countries. Cheery salutes to the leader for his strength and his wisdom. But is President Trump's real news real? We asked Brandon Ritteman to verify.
The lead-off story in this presentation is the economy, something the president himself's been bragging about lately. And for sure, there are good economic figures to point to right now, and we'll say right off the bat, none of the economic facts or figures you're about to hear are false. They're all true. What's a little less real is the big picture, the story this presentation wants to sell you.
President Trump has clearly steered the economy back in the right direction.
So that is the test. For each economic talking point here, we're going to verify whether that context holds up. Is it evidence of Trump steering the economy back in the right direction?
More great economic news on Friday. The July jobs report added a better-than-expected 209,000 jobs. Overall, since the president took office, President Trump has created more than 1 million jobs.
All true, but is it evidence of a change, steering the economy in a new direction? No. Let's start with that 209,000 jobs last month. It was better than predicted, but it's not amazing and new. President Obama had a monthly jobs number this good or better 42 times in his presidency. And that 1 million jobs in 6 months that Trump's taking credit for? President Obama beat that too. He did slightly better in his last 6 months of office, and he had a way better stretch over 6 months of 2014, adding almost 1.6 million.
The unemployment rate is at a 16-year low, and consumer confidence is at a 16-year high.
Again, both true facts, but do they show a new direction? No. Unemployment's been dropping since the Great Recession, going down since early in the Obama presidency. Likewise, consumer confidence been on a trend up since then. Both are the best they've been in a long time, but these numbers are continuing to trend more or less the way they've been trending for the last several years.
All while the Dow Jones continues to break records.
Again, it is breaking records, but a new direction? Nope. It broke records under Obama as well. The Dow is up about 12% so far in the Trump presidency. In a shorter time span just last year, President Obama had a period that beat that with 18.6% gains in the Dow. None of that takes away from the fact that things are still going pretty good by most economic measures. In Team Trump's Real News segment, the facts themselves aren't wrong, but the story they try to tell using those facts doesn't hold up. Here to verify, I'm Brandon Ritteman.
We welcome you to check our sources for this Verify story. It's on 9news.com. And if you have something you want verified about anything, not just politics, email our team, verify@9news.com. John Bolin, heir to the Denver Broncos and self-proclaimed blood of the city, turned himself into police over the weekend. Bolin gave himself that little nickname while trying to talk his way out of trouble in the 911 call over a domestic violence case. His latest trouble, drunk driving charges out of California that have prompted probation violations here at home. The son of Broncos owner Pat Bolin's free on bail, headed back to court next week. Today's tributes to Don Baylor made clear that the Rockies' first manager, who died after fighting multiple myeloma, was an exceptional leader of men. Our Mike Kliss looks at how Baylor changed Colorado's sports scene.
Yes, Don Baylor was the perfect manager for the expansion Colorado Rockies from 1993 on through 1998. He didn't have any experience, and kudos to Bob Gebhardt for seeing the leader in Don Baylor. He brought so much to the table. As a manager, he was hyperactive. He never met a move he didn't like. He put on the hit and run, the steal, the sacrifice bunt, the suicide squeeze. He was using his entire roster. He ran out of hitters in that first playoff game in 1995 against the Braves. But he put the pedal to the metal on the opposing team. He intimidated the other team. He put pressure on them. And it was really exciting. The Blake Street Bombers, I mean, Don Baylor cultivated that type of offensive atmosphere here. And the Rockies, even though they're an expansion team, he made them very excited, drew 70,000 a night, even though the team wasn't very good in those early years. Don Baylor will go down in history as a very important person in Denver sports.
A coworker of ours, Jess, recently joined the 21st century, used a ride-sharing app for the first time. When her driver said that he drove as a reason to put the bong away and get out of the house, Jess wasn't sure if he was kidding. So our Marshall Zellinger set out to find out whether the driver giving you a lift has to pass an uber-important drug test.
When Uber and Lyft drivers put on their flashers and block traffic, it might be because the people they're picking up are not in their right mind to be driving. It might also be because the Uber or Lyft driver might not be in their right mind. Colorado policies do not require ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft to drug test. State regulations do require drivers pass a medical exam. Surely that includes a drug test. Here it is. Regulation 6713, proof of medical fitness. A person is physically qualified to drive if the person does not exhibit any of the following 11 conditions. Let's scroll down to number 10. Does not exhibit use of controlled substance. That just means you don't look like you're on drugs when you have your medical exam. There's no testing to make sure you actually aren't on drugs. So does Uber drug test? A company spokeswoman directed us to the policy I just showed you and said we reserve the right to deactivate partners for receiving several unconfirmed complaints of drug or alcohol use. Lyft sent us to this company's safety website, which tells us there are background checks, vehicle standards, and a zero-tolerance policy, but no detail on drug testing. So we asked specifically and got this response. We maintain a strict zero-tolerance drug and alcohol policy for our drivers. Got it, you don't test. Taxi drivers are also not tested because, sensing a theme, it's not required. But RTD drivers do get tested. Federal guidelines require a pre-application drug test and random checks during the year. Let me go back to the taxi drivers for a sec. I spoke with a taxi company general manager who told me drug testing is not required, but we would openly welcome it. And Kyle, that just means lawmakers tell us to do it, and we'll spend the money that we don't want to spend right now.
to do it. All right, so you'll find me on the bus, and perhaps most disturbing of all, it's sweater weather. What time of year is this?
This is perfect.
It's unbelievable. All right, Marshall, thank you. A Vietnam veteran is spending a lifetime in search of new challenges.
You know, I didn't care if I won or lost. I wanted to go and do it.
Busy week for next guests that got you talking. A man of faith gets a national platform to fight one particular higher power. A woman of strength dives in, chasing another record. And the lost yaks of northern Colorado come face to face with the man who's been chasing them. Next.
Come on, guys, let's go home. Follow me. Going the wrong way.
Oh, it's like the heartbreaking end of some animal movie. Those are the legendary lost yaks of Larimer County. and they are literally turning their backs on their owner. That guy, sweet man, his name is Terry. He's been trying to bring the lost yaks back home to the ranch since they escaped months ago. He put those hand-painted lost yak signs all over the Bellevue area that we showed you, and over the weekend, he hiked in 12 miles to where they were last seen. He spotted them, he snapped that selfie, and then was unsuccessful in convincing them that they'd be happier at the ranch rather than in the wild near Rocky Mountain National Park.
Hi there. If you look up Monday in the dictionary, you might see a picture that looks just like this. Cloudy, gray, hard to get out of bed, hard to get going. Temperatures today in the upper 60s. We should be in the upper 80s this time of year. So crazy cool sweater weather, as Kyle mentioned. And we're going to see this again tomorrow for many areas. We're tracking some heavy thunderstorms coming off the foothills tonight. They're not severe, but dumping a lot of rain in a short amount of time. The only area under a flash flood watch is out around Burlington. But as this front separates warmer, drier air from the west, the cooler air mass to the east, that east to northeast upslope flow means another cool, unsettled day tomorrow. And tonight, the chance for another round of heavy rain yet tonight. So the flood threat increasing for many areas that had that 1 inch of rain early this morning and on saturated soils. Well, it could be an interesting overnight period. Our low in Denver at 53 with cloudy skies and areas of fog, which is where we start tomorrow morning. Temperatures improving, upper 70s, not much sunshine tomorrow, less in the way of coverage for showers and thunderstorms, and then a gradual warming and drying trend that'll get us back into the 80s. But summer in Colorado, no 90s in the 9-day planner, and certainly not a heat wave, and certainly does look like winter way up high. That tunnel drive today, kind of tough, Kyle.
Kathy, thanks. At 20, he joined the Marines. At 56, he went back to school to earn his bachelor's degree. And at 74 years old, that Vietnam veteran is offering a lesson about life's challenges through the lens of our photojournalist, Chris Hansen.
Spend a morning with John Stratton, and you'll hear pride in his voice.
You know, you never lose that.
He's proud of his service in Vietnam.
That was hell. Combat is just like they say, it's hell.
He's proud to call himself a Marine.
Had a lot of close calls, too many.
He's proud
that
at 74 years old, he's still trying new things.
Just this year, I started in February.
And to John, that's nothing new.
And this is the main bow.
Back in February, while at recreational therapy, he decided to take up archery.
And that just sparked something in me. Well, why not try that?
That's when he heard about the chance to compete.
I'm going to do it. Yeah, I wanted to prove it to myself and learn something different.
John was one of more than 500 veterans competing in the National Veterans Wheelchair Games.
There were 20 different games in this year's National Games, 20 different competitions.
He competed archery, pistol, rifle, bowling, and bocce.
Yeah, why not? It's exciting. It's better than sitting in this chair or sitting in this place or up in our rooms.
No, John didn't place.
But at least I did it. That was my thing. You know, I didn't care if I won or lost. I wanted to go and do it.
As for next year's games,
I'm already in classes.
well, they won't be something so new.
But now I know what to expect. And I know that you've got to push yourself through the competition and set your mind to do the best you can.
For Next, I'm Chris Hansen.
If you're a veteran out there or you know somebody who might be interested in competing in the National Veterans Wheelchair Games, you just need to call up a local Paralyzed Veterans of America's chapter. Sarah Thomas swam her way into the record books, toweled off, and promptly came in on next, where she promised us after her 60-hour nonstop swim across Lake Powell that she'd give us a heads up about her future adventures. Well, she's back at it today, attempting a 104-mile loop in Lake Champlain, which is on the border of New York and Vermont. She's thinking she can do this in about 72 hours of straight swimming. We'll keep following Sarah. You can as well. She's got a whole team updating her Facebook page, and you can find it on ours. Boulder runs out of something that makes Boulder, Boulder. And I bet the fine viewers of Next can help with that. This guy is all of us.
Everybody is always annoyed at work most of the time.
But he chooses happiness every day at work. We'll meet him next. Jeff Hunt from Colorado Christian University in Lakewood is undeterred by the critics in Colorado who say that his religion and conservative politics don't make him an expert on cannabis policy. When he came here on Next, he promised he would be the man leading the charge against our state's legalized weed. And it's interesting to see how many on the left were aghast that we had him on the program. I am guessing they are equally apoplectic today now that Hunt has a prominent USA Today editorial entitled "Marijuana Devastated Colorado. Don't Legalize It Nationally." Hunt's words appear in today's edition of the paper. You feeling okay, Boulder? You don't seem like yourself, your normal, opinionated, spicy self. The letters to the editor that are printed in the Daily Camera newspaper in Boulder, they are zesty, good fun. Yet they've been missing for the last 2 days. The editor of the editorial page has been in that job for 2.5 years, and he's never seen this.
Yeah, we just ran out of letters. Doesn't happen very often, but it happens in the summertime sometimes. You know, CU is out of session. People are on vacation. This is our slow time of year, so we didn't run any on Sunday or Monday because we didn't have any. There's very few communities I've ever lived in that have as many opinions as Boulder does. So normally we have a ton of letters to the editor, and as recently as 2 or 3 months ago, we were running full pages on Saturday just to keep up with the flow. And I can guarantee you with the municipal election here in Boulder coming up this fall, we will be back in that situation within a month or two.
Here at Next, we do not have a shortage of feedback. So I request that today only, you send it to the Daily Camera. Whatever you're hot about, send it Boulder's way. Get them talking. We have information in the next section of 9news.com on how to submit a letter to the editor of the Boulder Daily Camera. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a wedding atop a 14er. Chelsea and Jared Hammer are from Iowa. So they planned a traditional ceremony for October 21st in their home state. But Chelsea always had this thing. She wanted to get married on top of a mountain. Iowa, not much to offer in that regard. So they just eloped last Monday while they were here. They climbed Mount Elbert. They FaceTimed in their families back home. And boom, there they got married. Sans officiant. They tell us the cell service was fantastic, if anybody was wondering. They plan on celebrating each anniversary with a 14er climb. Next, we'll introduce you to a man who works hard at the airport every day to make people smile, not because it's his job, but because he chooses to do so. Take joy in your job, and we might take notice. Like the Southwest baggage handler caught on camera by a Next viewer at DIA. Our Steve Steger went to find him.
Let's face it. Baggage claim can be a rather unpleasant place, but perhaps it would be more bearable if you knew how your bag got from the tarmac to the turnstile.
I love being outside, and it's very outdoorsy.
If you've flown into Denver on a Southwest flight the last 4 months, chances are Deontay helped get your bag from point A to point B. We first introduced you last week. Deontay is the Southwest ramp agent seen dancing in this Next viewer's video.
Actually, I was having a little dance contest with an 8-year-old girl. And, you know, she was in there killing it. And I thought maybe I'd dance off with her.
He openly admits that wasn't just a one-time thing.
I'm always out here dancing or inside dancing. You're not going to catch me a day without dancing.
It's the benefit of actually enjoying what you do for work every day.
I'm a big believer in, like, making your job be fun.
Making this job fun is key.
I definitely have gotten stronger doing this job.
Once you get inside the belly of the airplane, you can see why. This is hard work. I asked him if there's anything he wished the folks standing around that conveyor belt knew.
We don't ever intentionally want to miss anybody's bags. We want to make sure those customers get their bags and are happy.
He's just trying to make people happy in any way he can.
Okay, while we're waiting for our plane, we have like some type of entertainment on the side, you know, if you look out. So.
I told you I refuse to read your feedback tonight. Send it to the Boulder Daily Camera. They need it more than we do. See you next time.